This morning, November 27, 2025, the shadow over our capital deepens. Yesterday's ambush, near the White House, that beacon of defiance, claimed its first hero. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, just 20, a fresh-faced Army National Guard enlistee from the rolling hills of West Virginia, sworn in mere months ago after trading her high school cap and gown for camouflage and conviction. Daughter to a proud father who watched her pledge her life to something bigger than herself, Sarah was the spark of a new generation, volunteering for weekend drills, while studying nursing online, dreaming of healing wounds, even as she stood ready to take them. She leaves behind a family shattered, a community in Charleston that called her sunshine, and a nation that failed to shield her light. Beside her, fighting through the haze of critical care at Walter Reed after emergency surgery, is Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolfe, 24, an Air National Guard stalwart, another recently sworn-in soul, barely a year into his oath after a stint as a mechanic in Huntington, West Virginia, where he fixed engines by day and fire-watched for his country's fires by night. Andrew, the quiet type with a quick laugh and a steady hand, was deployed to D.C. to guard the very freedoms he enlisted to defend. As of dawn, he's clinging to life, tubes and monitors be damned, a testament to the grit that outlasts bullets. The shooter? Rahmanullah Lakanwal, 29, an Afghan national airlifted stateside in September 2021 under Biden's chaotic Operation Allies Welcome, that post-withdrawal scramble to evacuate allies, or so they claimed. Flown in on humanitarian parole amid the Kabul frenzy, he was supposed to be vetted. A decade in the Afghan army, rubbing shoulders with U.S. Special Forces and even CIA ops in Kandahar's dust. But here's the gut punch. Critics hammered the program from day one for slapdash screening, incomplete background checks, rushed intakes, zero follow-up as 70,000 plus poured in, ballooning the Afghan diaspora to nearly 200,000. Lakanwal overstayed his temp status, slipped into illegality from Washington State, Bellingham, to be precise, then drove cross-country in a stolen vehicle, paranoia-fueled and unchecked, to stage this monstrous ambush. Asylum filed for in 2024, rubber-stamped in 2025. But by then the cracks had spiderwebbed. No manifesto, just whispers of mental fractures and deportation dread after a buddy's failed bid. Foreign ideology? Domestic dereliction? A toxic cocktail, served up by years of soft borders and softer oversight. Sarah's gone, Andrew's life hangs in the balance. Facts as we know them, FBI's calling it terrorism adjacent, Trump's halting Afghan applications cold, and we're left asking, how did we get here? Let's rewind the tape, not to finger point, but to face the mirror. Because in America, the real villains aren't caped, they're elected. Ah, yes, elections have consequences. Ring a bell? Back in 2009, Barack Obama dropped that gem like a mic at a closed-door White House roast, with GOP bigwigs griping over his Affordable Care Act push. Elections have consequences, he quipped, and I won. Like a cold slap in the face, that is going to leave a mark. Picture it. Fresh off his 2008 landslide, Democrats owning Congress, like it was a family reunion. Mandate? Real as a supermajority. He wasn't wrong, voters spoke, and suddenly, healthcare reform was ramming through like a freight train, with no brakes. But here's the snide kicker, that mandate vibe? It's the ultimate power-up, flipping the script on a nation's GPS overnight. One cycle, you're steering toward universal health coverage. Next, you're swerving into tax cut alleys. And the endgame? When those consequences curdle, like yesterday's blood on Pennsylvania Avenue, they don't just bruise, they bury the innocent, like Sarah Beckstrom, whose fresh oath to serve became her final stand. Elections don't just echo, they entomb. But let's zoom out, shall we? Because elections aren't just presidential beauty contests, they're the full Fast and Furious franchise. Congress and the Senate? They're the pit crew that either turbo boosts the Oval Office's agenda or throws sand in the gears, grinding the will of the people to a halt. Remember 2010 midterms? GOP tsunami and Obama's consequences suddenly meant gridlock galore, stimulus stalled, debt ceiling drama. Fast forward to today, A slim House majority can greenlight IC raids or bury them under humanitarian red tape. Senate filibusters? That's your veto-proof armor for the minority, turning mandate into nice try. Tie it to Lakanwal's unchecked trek. Biden's 2020 win flooded the lanes with lax vetting. Now, post-2024 flip, Trump's crew slams on the brakes, but too late for Andrew Wolfe scars. And oh, the local layer, that's where the real clown car crashes happen. States and swinging cities? They're petri dishes for ideological mad libs. Blue California bans gas cars, while red Texas drills like it's the 1970s again. Minneapolis votes in defund the police, dreamers, and suddenly your corner bodegas, a no-go zone. Elect a sheriff who treats borders like suggestions? Creates sanctuary counties where enemies foreign and domestic get VIP passes. Judges? Swing them progressive and bail reform turns felons into frequent flyers. And don't get me started on those Soros-funded district attorneys, you know, the ones bankrolled by billionaire puppet master George Soros to reform justice into a revolving door. Kim Foxx in Chicago? Mary Moriarty in Hennepin County, Minnesota? Elected on promises of equity, they deliver, well, equity for everyone but the victims. Think of it like dueling drivers in a demolition derby. One lane's the rule of law, where red lights mean stop, cuffs for crooks, borders bolted shut. The other? A yellow light free-for-all, where criminals and illegals get hazard lights and huff privileges, while you, Joe taxpayers, stuck in the breakdown lane. Consequences? Catastrophic pileups. Take Chicago, March 2025. Career thug Sean Duffy, with 17 prior arrests, including armed robbery, decides to light a woman on fire in a CTA train attack, leaving her critically burned because some judge waved off his latest warrant like it was a parking ticket. Or, North Carolina, September 2025. A repeat offender slaughters a family in a gruesome home invasion, walked free days earlier under progressive bail policies that prioritize re-entry over, well, you know, not dying. And the illegals? Don't kid yourself. When sanctuary trumps sovereignty, the worst of the worst get express lanes. November 2025. ICE nabs Cesar Orlando Castro Serrano in Texas for kidnapping and sexual assault, deported twice before, waltzed right back under Biden era, catch and release. Chicago, same month. A Mexican national, convicted of child abduction, slips through the net until IC hauls him in. Houston? 822 arrests in September alone, gangbangers, rapists, child predators, all enabled by DAs, who treat IC like the annoying ex-girlfriend at the party. These aren't anecdotes, they're the bill of goods, sold to citizens who voted for protection, not perforation. And let's be crystal clear, it's not Donald Trump's fault that he's got a call in the National Guard and IC cavalry to mop up the lawless confetti from previous administration's parade. Blame the ballot box that birthed the chaos and the vetting voids that let Lakanwal's shadow cross our lines. Speaking of steering, remember Obama's 2010 Minneapolis rally? Yeah, that frozen tundra of progressive experiments, where he warned, why would we put those folks back in the driver's seat? A not-so-veiled heads-up to the midterms, stick with us, or risk the GOP joyride into the abyss. Cute analogy, Barry, but as we barrel toward another 2026 midterm cliffhanger, let's flip the script. Who's really got the wheel? That pesky election? It's the ultimate GPS reset button, one vote, and your fundamental change detours into make it great again. Obama's plea? A preemptive brake tap to firewall Democratic control, post-ACA glory, a dire alert that flipping the House could screech the whole convoy to a halt. But Minnesota? Oh, the irony drips like a hot dish on a snowbank. Local elections there turn the Twin Cities into a crime petri dish. Elect Moriarty, a Soros's hand-picked reformer, and watch Tesla-smashing rioters get slaps on the wrist while carjackings spike 40%. Devastating? Understatement. It's like handing the keys of the car to a toddler during rush hour traffic, and now, with Sarah's blood fresh, it hits harder. Midterms aren't just seats, they're safeguards against the next unvetted U-turn. And the punchline? Fast forward to Grandpa Joe Biden's joyride, 2021 to 2025, America's crammed in the back seat of a Silver Alert special, an expired tag, and the left blinker has been on for 4 years straight, veering toward inflation cliffs and border black holes, like Lakanwal's free pass. Gas prices? Through the roof. Migrants? Bustin' like Uber Eats. And no one, absolutely no one, had the guts to wrestle the keys from the old guy confusing the Oval with the den? Comical gold, if it weren't so tragically on brand for consequences ignored. 2026? Voters grab the wheel. Or we'll all end up in the median, wondering where the guardrails went. So let me ask you this, in the end, who is braver? The man of steel, invulnerable and immortal, cape fluttering in contrived crises? Or the mortal guardians like Sarah and Andrew, donning olive drab daily, no Kryptonian glow, just grit and oath? Comic book legends get origin stories, Spider-Man's bite, Batman's alleyway tragedy, forging powers into purpose. Their real heroism? Those quiet family fractures, lost loves, shattered homes, channeling superhuman resolve to shield the vulnerable. But our armed forces? Anonymous architects of our peace. We rarely know the backstories. The young nursing hopeful from Charleston, enlisting fresh out of high school to mend a broken world, and the steady mechanic from Huntington, trading tools for duty after a year of quiet service. No radioactive spiders, just a uniform and an unbreakable discipline. They stand as living shields against foes foreign, like Lakanwal's imported rage, and domestic ideologies that erode the republic's spine. Willing to lay it all down, not for glory, but for the fragile flame of liberty. Life, liberty, pursuit, sans peril. Sarah, your light endures in every oath renewed. Andrew, keep fighting, we really need your steady hand. You are the heroes. Bulletproof in bravery, eternal in valor. We salute you. Rest easy, we've got the watch. So, that's my take, from ballot blunders to blood on the mall, updated with the heart-wrench that no script softens. But hey, Caption America over here isn't the oracle. So tell me, what's your rewind? Drop it in the comments below. Elections do have consequences, and who's really driving? And how do we honor Sarah? By grabbing the wheel in 2026. Let's have that conversation, that is, if you've got the spine for it.